So, Mark, one of the quirks of 2024 is that people have no consideration for each other. Everybody just out to get the other person. And that happens on cruise ships too. Did you see this video where this lady did this quote unquote hack about the big water bottles in staterooms on Carnival that you can purchase? Instead of buying one, she just decided to drink it and then refill it from the tap, glue it back together, gave the camera a thumbs up like she was just happy that she figured out this super clever hack. Thankfully, they figured out who she is and she got banned.
Yeah, to save what, like $4? And watch, she probably never did this before and just did it to make a video on TikTok to go viral and stuff like that. That's what I hate about social media these days. But when I first saw this, I was thinking it was like, oh, bring a water bottle on, but fill it with vodka, or how people use like scope and put blue dye in it so they can avoid the expensive booze. But this is like so cheap and nasty. How mad would you be if you knew you were drinking a water that was already used bottle? Disgusting.
Exactly. Like you say, it's not saving a ton. It's not particularly clever. Apparently, she posted another video showing you how to drink the water out of the bottle without opening it. So what? I don't know, poke a hole in the top. I don't know what's going on. She needs to get off
Shotgun
of
it.
these water hacks. Like she needs to find a different genre of cruise hacking.
What'd you do on your cruise? I shotgunned my water and then put it back.
$4 save. Boom.
Yeah.
One of the biggest plays, I guess, in the travel space to save time is Clear. And I guess Clear, it depends on the airport you're flying from. From here in Las Vegas, I have Clear. I don't often use it just because it's not a big time savings for me. But there are a ton of airports where they have Clear. You can skip the line. A lot of American Express cards have a credit giving you a free year of Clear membership. And that's really nice. You get the credit back, you pay for it. But from time to time, they run these promotions where when you sign up as a new member, you also get a perk like in the past, $75 Uber vouchers. And now they have a new $100 rebate promotion. You get travel gift cards or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really clear because it's just launched and nobody's earned it yet because it's not supposed to be sent out till the end of the month. My understanding is you go to this like rebate site. My guess is that you get to pick what type of travel gift card you want, and rideshare is one option. So I think you could just get Uber credit like you used to get, but it's $100 versus 75 now. So maybe they'll have like a Delta gift card, an American Airlines gift card, a Hilton gift card, Uber gift card, something like that that you can pick. And it's cool if you have some of these credits, and it's by calendar year. So like personal platinum, business platinum, Aspire card. Amex Green has maybe a partial credit, so you can wipe this off. You don't even have to buy it for yourself. If you already have Clear, what I did in the past for these promos is I bought like my mom Clear with my card. I bought my dad Clear with another card because you don't have to go to the airport to activate it. You just have to sign up, pay. Amex wipes it off. You get the free money. So even if you already have Clear and you have an unused credit, you can sign up somebody else, get some value back from that annual fee.
This is for new members only. It's not really clear if you have an old account, if you sign up with a new email or something, whether you'll get this or not. So not guaranteed, but yeah, it's a great deal. And if you haven't done Clear, haven't taken advantage of those Clear credits, and then do that for you or your entire family or whatever, give them something for a year, let them try it out. They'll feel special going, skipping the line, and then you keep the voucher or whatever you get, a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, just make sure that you go into their account and turn off the auto renewal as soon as they're signed up and everything, because you don't want to get hit with that like a year later and be like, oh crap, if you haven't closed the card yet.
So in the miles and point space, people just love lounges. I guess just travelers in general love lounges, a relaxing place to spend some time, sometimes upscale, sometimes good food, good drink. A lot of times, the food's very mediocre and the drinks are too. But I found this video from Samantha Brown, the famous Travel Channel host and a huge world traveler, basically taking the unpopular opinion that lounges are overrated. It's an opinion that I've sort of shared for a while, and I wonder if you just have traveled enough where you kind of get sick of them. But she points out that she doesn't want to be far away from her gate, doesn't want to spend hours and hours sitting down right before she gets on a plane to sit down. And then the stress of being in lounges, how crowded they are, finding the right seat, feeling all of that pressure. Is she overthinking it? Am I overthinking it? Or are lounges overrated?
I've been on the lounges are overrated for several years now, and I think it's just gotten worse. Like back then, they were still somewhat spacious and they weren't overcrowded. I don't know if it's just people signing up for a ton of credit cards or people being more intelligent with their perks and which cards they grab and all that stuff. If shows like this have helped people understand all that and do better. So that's great. But the lounges aren't being built big enough to hold them. I mean, I get stressed just thinking about walking into the Centurion Lounge in Vegas because it's so busy and so packed. And you're just like, the only thing you care about, not what food they have, not what you're going to get to drink, is there going to be a chair? Am I going to be comfortable there? Is it dirty? Whatever. Like, that's not a good experience. So I think a lot depends on the lounge. If it's a lounge I've been to and I enjoyed, like we went to the Capital One Lounge on our way to Hawaii in Dallas, and that was a really great lounge. Wasn't too packed when we were there. Good experience. I would go out of my way a little bit for that. But like, some of these Delta lounges or Centurion lounges, they're so packed, the food's not that good. I'd rather just like grab a beer at a restaurant and have space and not be so cramped and pay the $10 or whatever for the beer. But we have friends like our buddy Tim that focuses his travel around, hey, I'm going to have this layover so I can have lunch in the lounge and all kinds of stuff. So definitely both sides of it.
Yeah, it's very interesting how people really do love this whole culture, and then how people like us have sort of backed away from it. I think if you drink too, that makes a big difference. If you're not drinking alcohol at all, then the argument becomes even, less positive for lounges, because you're not even saving money on that. And very rarely are you getting food that substitutes getting a proper meal. But yeah, I mean, they definitely have their place, and I still use them when it's right, but I'm not running over myself to do it. And I'd love to hear what everybody out there thinks. Most of the people we know they love their lounges.
Especially the international lounges in the Middle East and stuff, when it gets crazy over the top. The first class lounges, you're getting a whole different experience there when you have like showers and beds and massages. Domestic lounges, especially like priority pass type lounges, it's just not worth it. I try to get to the airport, get through security, go right to the gate and start boarding. That's how I time it. I'm pretty good at it in Detroit. When I'm flying out of a airport I haven't been to before, I might get there a little bit earlier, but hey, I just suck it up and sit by the gate for 45 minutes or whatever it is.
So on to some good news with Chase. I guess good news for some. So Chase has that 524 rule that we've talked about, where if you've gotten 5 or more revolving accounts in the last 24 months, then they most likely will deny you for a credit card. Also, if you've had the bonus on a card sometime in the last 4 years, you're not eligible for the welcome offer. So in the past, if you weren't eligible for a welcome offer, they would just deny you. They wouldn't give you the card. But what if you wanted the card again and you didn't care about the welcome offer? American Express has for a long time had an ability to pop this up, say, you're not going to get the welcome offer, but we'll give you the card. And now Chase is following suit, has this very similar pop-up, and you can now get a card whether you're eligible or not.
Yeah, and it's only on a couple different cards right now. We don't know if they'll roll it out to more, but it's the Freedom Unlimited, the Sapphire Preferred, and the Sapphire Reserve, which is a good roundup of their cards. Love to see it on like the ink cards too, eventually the business cards. But I think it's your mileage may vary right now. We've seen some data points of people getting it. I tried it myself because I'm well over 524. Don't plan to get back under. And my plan was to sign up for the Freedom Unlimited, get that, and then product change it to a Flex later down the road, and so I get more 5 times earning, stuff like that. But I was automatically denied. I didn't get the pop-up or the option. I knew I would get denied, but I figured they'd be like, hey, do you want it? So I don't know how they're rolling this out, or when it will go to everybody, or maybe it's just glitchy right now in its infancy. But I think it's a good move. I've long said it's annoying that you can't get a card from Chase unless you can get the welcome offer. There's plenty of people that would sign up for the card, especially like the ink cards, without a welcome offer, just to get access to the earning portfolio that they have.
Yeah, it's a smart way for them to grow business and, to maintain their rules for how they keep a profitable customer. Chase very much on top of that. So I feel like, yeah, this is a good move. We already knew what the rules were. Things were closed off. Hopefully they get this figured out, maybe roll it out to all the cards, or, maybe it'll just be a targeted thing too. Maybe they determine on the back end if they want you as a customer, or they feel like it would be advantageous to give you the card without the bonus, and maybe other people they don't feel. So we really don't know. It's the early days of this. Kind of the fun thing about discovering these things without banks actually announcing them.
Got to get the data points and all that and see how it plays out. And this could be a test run. They could pull it away and say, you know what, it sucks. We're not going to use it anymore. So you never know, but it's always fun. It adds a unique twist and something to dive into. And I'm sure there will be message boards and Facebook groups like just filled with, over the next couple months of data points, and then we can bring it to you. And once we kind of hammer it down of what's going on exactly.
So we'll do a quick check-in on my Tokyo, or my recent Japan trip, where we went to Tokyo, and a couple hotels to share. The Hyatt Centric Ginza, 25,000 points a night for a Hyatt Centric, Mark. This really hurts because, I've said before, when I'm spending that many points, I want it to be on like a beach resort, not in the middle of Tokyo. But Japan is pretty expensive hotel-wise, and in Tokyo itself, a lot of the hotels are more expensive. On the Hyatt side, they do have the Hyatt Regency, which is a category 4, and that's the cheapest option. but I would say the Centric is probably 3 or 4 levels a hotel above that. It almost feels like a luxury property, and certainly the nicest Centric I've ever stayed in. I actually stayed there last year, returned this year. Really love the area. Very nice transport connections. This is the high end sort of shopping area of Tokyo, so all the cool shops are outside. We're not big shopping people, but lots to eat, lots to do. Highly recommend this hotel. Quirky rooms, as people are seeing right now. Friendly service. They have a happy hour for globalists. You don't get a lounge there, but the breakfast buffet is pretty good as well. So $900 a night for a Hyatt Centric in the middle of Tokyo. Couldn't pay those cash prices, but I redeemed 25,000 Hyatt points, and that was pretty good.
Yeah, it's a good Semper point for Hyatt points, and Centric's, like you said, quirky. That's kind of like their motto, even though the rooms are a bit quirky. Like it's more edgy, a little bit different, a little bit more out there. Usually a fun atmosphere. So usually they're like a little bit cheaper. So when you said 25,000, that's kind of the high end for Centrics.
There is one other Hyatt Regency out by Tokyo Bay. This is out by Disney. What surprised me a lot was there's a lot of people staying there for proper Tokyo trips. And I guess because the cash rates were much cheaper, around $130 a night. So you can see the huge difference between being in the center of Tokyo, being 30 minutes outside on the train. I don't think that I would pick this hotel for a Tokyo trip, but for people that want something that's a little cheaper, they have a lounge. Obviously, if you're doing Disney, it's a good hotel for that, but it's only a category 3, so 12,000 points a night. They also have buy 2, get third night free on cash rates, or buy 3, get fourth night free, depending on the night. So it's a decent hotel, a decent value. And I had been sort of against it, but if you're going to be in Tokyo for a day or two and you just need to get into the city and you want something cheap and you want your Hyatt benefits, that could be a good option. And like I said, I saw quite a few people doing it exactly that way.
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense. Like, if you go to Disney, you're going to be tired after walking around all day. You probably don't want to ride back into the city center and deal with all the train and everything. So if you just, break up your trip a bit or work it that's like your last day or last 2 nights or whatever, I think it makes a lot of sense.
I talked on the Miles to Memories podcast this week, did a whole episode about this trip if people want to learn more. But I said why I think Tokyo and Japan are the best family travel destinations now for Americans, because they're a little easier to get to than some other places like Hong Kong or Singapore. It's become easier and easier to travel there. On this trip, we went to Tobu Zoo, which is kind of like a local zoo amusement park, which was really cool, and Sega Joypolis, which I'd been to before. This is like an interactive indoor video game amusement park. It does have one roller coaster, but they have all these sort of, futuristic style games, including a concert performance by a female anime band that are all holograms. And all the people are going wild and cheering. It's fantastic. There's so much to do for families in Tokyo.
The commercials where they go, Sega, those were the best.
We also did one other thing that's been popular in Japan lately, a pet cafe. Cat cafes, I think, started it. And then we went to a dog cafe because we're more dog people than cat people. This was set up to look like somebody's living room. It wasn't their living room, but if you see the video here, it looks like their living room. There was 5 dogs. Basically, it was about $15 for 30 minutes, and that included our drink, got a coffee, and you sit there and you pet the dogs, and they're treated very well. So, yeah, I guess it's a cool, quirky thing to do in Japan now, visit a pet cafe. Would you do it?
Yeah, I think I'd take like my daughter and son in there. I think they'd enjoy it. And I mean, it makes a lot of sense if maybe you travel too much or all that and you don't want a pet or you can't have a pet, but you still want that where you can pet them. And, there's been plenty of studies that it relieves stress and reduces stress, all that stuff. And it's good for your mental health and everything. So you kind of get that same feel for, 30 minutes or whatever, and you can go in there for a day, each day, and get your drink and spend a little bit of time. So I think they're pretty cool. I wish there was some around here. I think, my family would be interested in it.
They must have different licensing regulations there with how, food and animals. But there's all kinds of different animals. There's owl cafes, just so many different types of animals now. So if you're going to Japan, check out one of them. It's kind of a quirky, fun experience. Another thing that happened this week was Wall Street Journal came out with a sort of blockbuster article on Bilt and Wells Fargo and their partnership, basically saying that Wells Fargo doesn't feel like they got the best end of the deal there. They're losing upwards of $10 million a month on the partnership. And some of the Bilt's customers aren't quite what they thought, not carrying as many balances. They're more savvy consumers. They're not using the Bilt card for non-rent purchases, kind of trying to paint a picture that this whole partnership's been a disaster. But $10 million a month for a company like Wells Fargo that shifted into trying to be bigger in credit cards, That doesn't seem like a whole lot. Didn't Chase lose like billions of dollars on the Sapphire Reserve?
Yeah, I think, anything that you start is going to be a loss leader in the beginning because you have to spend so much money to get new customers, the advertising, all that stuff. The outlay early on is usually big. But this was interesting. Like I always assumed, we don't get this back end info all that often. I always assumed, the co-branded partners basically just sell their points to the bank and that's how they make money. Maybe they get a little bit of like, the charge money, the swipe fees each month, but I figured selling the points to the bank is where they get most of their profit from, or that's the partnership. Where this, like Wells Fargo is paying them $200 for every sign up, which kind of blows my mind a bit. Why are they paying, it's a partnership. You're already buying your points. Why are they paying you $200 up front no matter what? And there's not really a sign up bonus, so there's no outlay there. Maybe that's why, because they're not requiring a sign up bonus, that they get the money instead. And then they also get like 0.8% of the rent payments in fees, even though Wells Fargo doesn't get to charge fees on there. It just seems like whoever signed this wasn't the brightest.
It does seem like Bilt got a good deal, and Bilt is pretty strong as a company based on what you're seeing here. It seems like it's a positive thing there. Wells Fargo is changing their strategy a little bit, pulling back from their blitz effort. And you saw in Wells Fargo branches, Bilt Card was advertised quite often, and now they're moving more towards advertising their own in-house cards. So we'll probably see a switch, but that contract's in place through 2029. And I should point out that Gary Leff, View from the Wing, has a great breakdown of this article as well. So we'll put links to both the Wall Street Journal and Gary's article. But yeah, it does seem like Wells Fargo is a little bit upset that they didn't get a better deal, but maybe they needed Bilt. Remember, Wells Fargo wasn't a big player in the credit card space when they had made this deal, so they kind of needed them too.
Yeah, I think this got their name out there a bit more, and then they just launched their autograph journey card, and this kind of plays into that. And I think part of the hope of when you do this is you get access to Bilt members, and then you hope that they end up getting their mortgage through Wells Fargo, or sign up for one of their other accounts, or a savings account, checking account, stuff like that. So I think that you're losing 10 million, but you also have to look at those figures, how many of those people are getting other Wells Fargo products because they're already in the ecosystem. Maybe that isn't happening as much, but the fact that they expected 65% of people to carry a balance is kind of nuts.
And it just shows you sort of what is happening with other cards. And every card is different. We've heard of Apple not doing well with the Apple Card because their customers are paying off things too much. So getting that right demographic of customer for banks is important, and interest is a big, big part of how they make money. I'm sure this will all be good, but it was an interesting read. Like you said, we don't get this behind the scenes all the time, and it isn't quite as bad or good, depending on how you look at it, as you might think on the surface. Couple other quick stories to end. Chase Freedom, they released their third quarter categories. So the Chase Freedom card, you earn 5% back on these categories in the third quarter. You have to register, and it's on up to $1,500 in spend. And gas, EV charging, good to see those being included now. And live entertainment like concerts, theatrical productions, museums. It does have some exclusions for live entertainment as well. I'm guessing gas is where you're going for with this category.
Yeah, I mean, gas it's not just filling up at the tank, and I think that's what a lot of people assume or whatever. Gas stations sell third-party gift cards, Amazon gift cards, stuff like that, so you can always get those things. Even some 7-Elevens that don't have gas code as gas, so go into a 7-Eleven, do a little test purchase, see if it codes as the 5%, and then you have other options there that you can go into and buy things that you can use elsewhere. So it really is it's kind of like grocery in the same way in that fact, but I spend a lot on gas as it is, but then there's other options within the gas station that you can look at. And concerts are super expensive these days. If you take 4 people to a concert, you can knock out the $1,500 right there.
And then you get 5% back. It makes it completely free, and you never worry about it. But, some plays in the hobby, people reselling tickets, reselling gift cards, there's other things that you can build a business around, sort of maximizing these categories. And yeah, I like the grocery category better, but gas isn't terrible, and good to see that. And we have to close with this.
The San Antonio Monorail.
My favorite video of the week, travel related, and it involves Six Flags, so I was going to like it. But one of the more famous Simpsons episodes, written by Conan O'Brien, believe it or not, is the Monorail episode from, I don't know, was it season 2 or something? It's way back when, and it's based on The Music Man, where, he's selling the boys band and all that. And this week, Six Flags Fiesta Texas in San Antonio announced a new monorail. And because a monorail is not a sexy announcement that everybody wants to go line up, they decided to put out this Simpsons-like hype video, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, I didn't remember the episode. My son actually just started watching The Simpsons from the beginning, but I haven't sat and watched it with him. But it was like over the top and really well done. So now I want to go back and check out The Simpsons and kind of see how it compares and contrasts. Nobody cares about monorails besides Shawn, I feel like. So this was a good way to get people interested.
It's funny. At one point in the song, it said, kind of making fun of themselves, it says there's cracks on Main Street and all that. And they're like, who cares? We're getting a monorail. So they're making fun of the fact that they're not fixing up the cracks on Main Street, but they're getting this boring monorail. It's hilarious. Six Flags, they've always talked about not building rides like this because you can't market them. That's a little nerdy. But if you're a fan of that Simpsons episode, The Music Man, you have to watch this. It's really well done and a perfect use of social media, I think, in 2024.
Yeah, really well done, really well thought out. So kudos to them. I hope it's a success. I mean, it's a monorail, but people love the Disney monorail and still talk about it all the time.
So let us know what you guys think about anything we discussed. Do you love monorails like me? Chase now having that Popup, Bilt and Wells Fargo, that entire partnership. Lounges, are they overrated? Hit us up in the comments. We do a new show every Wednesday. Still a new channel. Appreciate your support. Subscribe, hit a thumbs up, leave a comment, do all that good stuff. Tell a friend. Thanks so much for watching. Talk to you next time.
Have a good week, everybody. Thank you.